Hello and welcome to Education Talk Now. Happy New Year. This is our year of triumph, and today we'll be talking about the Future Africa Leaders Award called FALA from the Chris Oyakhilome Foundation. I have a guest on the program with me today, Helen Ukala. She has been a lecturer and is the producer of one of our educational programs, Easy Learning. Helen, you're very welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much, Mama.
And it's lovely to have you on this program today.
It's an honor.
Now, we're going to be talking about FALA, the Future Africa Leaders Award. It's a very prestigious award, and it's given by the Chris Oyakhilome Foundation. But because of your experience as an ex-lecturer and one of the producers of our program, which is an educational program, you'll be telling us more about this award. But first of all, let's give our viewers just an overall view of this award and what the award is all about. Now, at the eve of the New Year's service with Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, 14 people were recognized for their outstanding contributions to helping the young, that's one, and two, the youths at risk in their various communities, and helping those who have lost hope, especially in the future. But the winner of this prestigious award, and he is the winner of the Star Award, the FALA Star Award, is a gentleman from Kenya, Lotan Salpe, recognized for his outreach to at-risk youths and street children, adopting the girl child, educating street children, and equipping them with professional skills. Let's relive the moment.
This recognition is to let them know that what they're doing is worth doing, and it's got a future. Because we're aware that around the world there's so many young people who think the future is hopeless, but it's not hopeless. The future belongs to you if you prepare for it. And that's why we do this.
First up tonight is the announcement of the winners of the Future African Leaders Awards 2014 in the junior category. First up, Sean Samoisi. Yemisi Basira Afolabi. Next, we will present the winners of the Future Africa Leaders Awards in the senior category. The Future Africa Leaders Award is tonight presented to Enoch Ofori Boama. Jude Osakwe Tinofara Ntua. Jackson Samuel Iboro, Trudy Masha, Lotan Salape, Treasure Bonginkosi Nkonto, Cynthia Adeze Onwuchuruba, Leslie Ndebele, Charles Miracle Lipenga, Obona Obwani, Chifarao Hannah Demeke. Out of our 14 winners, one of them is a winner of the Star Prize. Come on, put your hands together for him. No, like this. Ladies and gentlemen, all over the world, the winner of the Star Prize of the Future Africa Leaders Award 2014 from the nation of Kenya, Lotan Salape. Let us stand up on our feet for his outreach to at-risk youth and the dignity of the Girl Child campaign, impacting youth and street children, adopting a children's home, which has seen over 300 street children receive professional skills, for his work with the dignity of the Girl Child campaign, which has seen him raise supplies of sanitary materials to the girl child.
It's amazing reliving the moment again. I participated from the beginning to the end, so I enjoy the program very much. But let me give you a statement from Pastor Chris Oyakhilome about these awards. He said, and I quote, "This is to let them know that what they are doing is worth doing and has got a future." Now, Helen, we're talking about letting the youth know that they have a future. And as a former lecturer, how important is this? I mean, you have lots of experience working with youths and young people.
It's really, really important, because it's important to let the child or the teenager or the young person know that what they're doing is recognized and that it's encouraged. So when you give an award and you recognize them, you're boosting their confidence, and that's very important. A lot of teenagers can easily lose their confidence if they're with gangs. They don't know what to do when they're with a gang of friends. They want them to do something bad, or they see other people doing things that are wrong, or they don't really, they think that the society doesn't expect much from them, that it's okay to just be an average person. But when you encourage them to do the right things, when you encourage them for the work that you're doing, especially when they're doing so much, like these young people that have been recognized in this program, it's just amazing. It will boost their confidence. It will encourage them to do more. It will motivate them to bring in more people into what they're actually doing. And it will also encourage other youth to follow in the same, in the same way, and to make sure that they do something, not just for themselves, but to reach out to other people, to touch other people with something positive. So it's not just about trying to scare people and show your power the way gangs behave, or trying to be naughty or disobedient or being a miscreant in society, but actually impacting your society in such a way that you leave a mark that encourages society and builds up society and helps others. So it's really, really important. And as a lecturer, it's so easy to fixate on the wrong things that a teenager or a young person is doing.
I was just about to say that, because
so
the recognition we're talking about is definitely not going to come from the lecturers.
No.
Not from the teachers, because they are burdened with so much work, and they may not even have the right mindset to give such recognition. So really, such recognition coming from the man of God, Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, is definitely what the youths need.
It is, and it's very important, so that people can see that what I've done is actually recognized. I was actually able to do this, and I've been recognized and given this award. It's such an honor, and especially to come from such a wonderful foundation. It's amazing, and to think of the fact that other teenagers did so well, but to be recognized amongst many as someone who has done so excellently, it's indeed fabulous, and it's wonderful. I was excited to see that myself. I was just thinking, oh, I wish I was a young person again. I could do so much. Just to think of myself and to think that it made me want to go back to being a young person, to do so much. So you can imagine how other young people will feel watching that. They can say, wow, so if I really do this and I put myself into it, I can be encouraged, I can be helped, I can be financed, because that was also part of what was given to them as part of the award. My projects can be looked at, and I can get the congratulation. And this would actually help encourage young people to do much more than they're doing right now.
So amazing. You talked about Lawton Salaipe, the gentleman from Kenya that won the SAR Award. We'll come to that, but first of all, let's talk about this award. Yes, it was Future Africa Leaders Award for those in Africa, but the youths in other countries can actually follow suit and learn something. One of the problems that plagues the youth, especially of this nation, you have gun crimes, you have knife crimes, you have hooliganism and such things. But this will let the youths know that they can actually be a blessing to others and encourage others, but not be the problem of the society.
Yes, it helps people look beyond themselves, to go beyond how they feel or what's going on around them or in their society. Teenagers, for instance, let me take the UK as an example. You talked about some of the things that plagues our teenagers. Now, it helps them understand that that I just don't have to look at my issues or what I might be going through or what my fellow students in school are doing to me or what I face on my way home. Makes them think of, I can actually look beyond those things and try to help someone else and actually try to do something about what's going on. You know, you can start your own project and just say, okay, I'm gonna educate other teenagers on how to, you know, get rid of people trying to force them to do something they don't want to do. So you can come up with your own initiative. And what this foundation has helped to do, these awards, it's helped to show teenagers that if you do it, people will notice what you're doing and you will get help and you can be recognized. And this could be something that you can do for life. It's amazing. It's starting out like, you know, something simple that I can just do, but this could be a proper career for you. You don't even have to think of, yes, about worrying about the future. There's no one who would hear if the kind of things that you will do or what these wonderful people did, or for instance, the winner of the award, Lawton Salape, what he did in Kenya. There's nobody who would hear what he's done and not feel encouraged. There's no employer who would hear what he's done and not want to have him as a member of staff. So this is something that any teenager or any young person can learn from. I was in church in the UK during this ceremony, and the teenagers, you could just see their faces, like they were in awe, like they couldn't believe
someone like me could do this.
Wow, so it's really encouraging to anyone.
Let's talk about Lawton Salape, the gentleman that won the Star Award. Now, looking at what he did, he was recognized for, one, educating street children and equipping them with professional skills and helping the youths and the young at risk in his communities, and also feeding street children. And some of the things he did was educating up to 300 youths. This gentleman is already an entrepreneur. I mean, just what you said, taking a cue from what you said, no one can actually say, any of these youths, that they don't have a job if they do this. And the first thing is what Pastor Chris said is, you find a need and meet that need. And when you do that, you can never be jobless. And that's what this gentleman has done. Yes,
it's so important. And when the awards were taking place and people were coming up and receiving the awards, amazing things that they had done. I was blown away by some of the things that these young people had taken upon themselves to do. Some were 17 years old. I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing when I was 17 years old? It's really, really inspiring and very important. And when, you know, they were reading out some of the things that these young people had done, I thought, wow, they just went and met a need. And just as I was thinking about it, Pastor went ahead and said the same thing. He's like, find a need and meet it. And that's just something that should be a motto for life. Find a need and meet it. And once you start doing that, you'll be amazed at what's going to happen. In fact, one of the first things is you wouldn't be complaining so much about yourself, about what you're going through or what's going on. You would see that there's a lot that you have. There are a lot of other people out there have no access to, and there's so much that you can do. And there is no young person who has this desire that wouldn't have support come to them. It's so true. So if you take it up upon yourself, you'll see people will want to support you. They will want to help you. They want to encourage you. And that's something that you can take and start doing. You can start wherever you are with something little. It could be making sure that your library has new books.
Excellence, because
at school.
Yeah, that was one of the awards that was recognized. Someone who equipped her library. I mean, she's from South Africa. She was interested in getting textbooks and going to rural communities where there were no libraries and donating such textbooks to such libraries. So really, that's a starting point.
It's so amazing how a lot of people don't know there is so much. There are so many free articles, books, publications. There's so many publishers who are willing to give their materials for free. If people are willing to ask for them, they're willing to make that kind of arrangements with their schools or colleges or any educational institution. So these are things that people are just waiting for you to ask. They're so happy to do it as long as they're recognized and say, oh, this came from this foundation. So there's so many resources that you have access to if you're willing to go about and do these things. And like I said, once you start doing it, you'll find out that even your own personal needs are met as a teenager. You want to make friends? You will make friends from if you carry out this kind of, you know, entrepreneurial kind of work. If you go ahead and put yourself to these things and apply yourself to these things, you'll make friends. You can't tell me that someone like Lotan
doesn't have friends.
Will not have friends.
He definitely
has
so
about
many
30 schools, you know, working with him. Come on, he has so many friends, and he's providing for people. And now he's been recognized. Now he's been given, you know, he's been given help through a financial award. So it's really inspirational. I'm very excited about this, and I'm excited to go ahead and tell other teenagers that I know.
You are the producer of one of our programs on Love World TV here, and that's Easy Learning for Kids.
Yes.
Now, you have a lot of experience teaching kids, young children, especially from the kindergarten level to the last in primary school.
Yes.
Now, what words are you going to give to parents now to help them kickstart their kids when it comes to such inspirational activities and encouraging all the youths like the kids? Because a lot of these people here got the encouragement probably from a mentor or from their parents. So what words are you going to give to the parents to encourage their kids to go in that direction?
Oh, focus on the positive. Focus on the positive. It's very easy for children to get carried away and get messy and noisy and want to make a lot of noise, but sometimes in the midst of that messiness, there are great things that are going on right there. A child could scatter the whole room, but you might be surprised that there is something in that mess.
Chaos.
Exactly, that is really genius. So try and focus so much more on the positive. Now, a lot of parents say, the first word my child says a lot of is no, 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 because the child touch this, no, don't touch that, don't do this, don't do that, and they get to hear a lot of no, and before they even grow up, they're feeling like society is already saying no to them.
They learn to know from the parents.
They learn to know from the parents. That's the first thing they learn. A lot of parents need to know that a lot of the things that your child knows, they learned from you. They're not just learning from your words. It's not just about saying, do this and do that. They're also learning from your actions. They're learning from your behavior. If you get home and the first thing you do is put on the TV, that child may find it difficult to later start studying because they're so used to having the TV on all the time. So just focus on the positive. Try your hardest best. It could be difficult. It's a lot easier to say, why'd you do that? And smack the child. But if you focus on the positive and say, oh, you did that, that's a mess. Okay, put it back together. And then they put it back together and say, good job, you've put this back together. So they're getting used to receiving that confirmation that they can do good, even if they've done bad, but they are capable of doing good. And it's so important for them to know that as young kids, as children, as kids. And it's never too early to start teaching a child what to do. I would just quickly say this, Reverend Rio Kocha, he said something that was amazing. And he said, bring your child to church and make sure that they sit down there, no matter how young they are, bring them to church and sit them down, because that's how they will start learning how to behave in church, to be disciplined. Don't let them run around. Encourage them. It could be difficult, but after a month of making sure they sit down, you'll see it will get easier. Soon they'll just sit down and they'll fixate on the pastor, and then they'll get used to it. And it's interesting how simple that might sound, but it does work. So focus on the positives and you see the difference.
Now, a lot of parents out there will be wondering, oh, what else do I need to do? You can send emails to educationtalk@loveworldtv.co.uk. A lot of experience from Helen here, who is the producer of one of our educational programs on Love World TV, and you can actually get a feedback from her. Helen, let's go to the teachers. You've actually given some words of advice to the parents. But what about the teachers? You have been an ex-lecturer and you're still a lecturer on television. So you're actually teaching much more people than you were in a small class because you're teaching globally now. But what advice would you have for the teachers? You've told the parents to focus on the positive. The teachers have a lot of workload.
Oh, they do.
The parents could have only 2-3 kids, but the teachers have 25-30 children.
Yes.
What should they do?
It's interesting to know what teachers go through or how they go through that. And I've taught in Africa, I've lectured, I've taught in a primary school setting. I've had 1-2 children who had learning difficulties. So it's amazing what a teacher can go through. And there's so much that I can say, and there's so much available to most of our teachers. But I'm gonna try and go spiritual here, because honestly speaking, you need to have something on the inside of you to help you. And
it's not an easy task.
It's not an easy task. And I'm going to say it's patience. My first one will be patience. You need patience, because what you're doing, a lot of teachers think that just because the child went home that day upset with the teacher, a child could stand up at the classroom and after school just tell you, oh, I'm so happy to be rid of you right now. And that can bring down your confidence. You've worked so hard all day long, and here's a child leaving and saying, oh, I'm so happy to be rid of you right now. That can make you feel bad. But if you're patient, you realize that when that child grows up, they'll remember you. They'll remember you. They'll remember what you taught them. They'll remember how you behaved with them. They'll remember everything that they learned from you. So be your best self and be patient, because definitely you might not see the rewards right there, but you would surely see the rewards when those children grow up and you bump into them on the road and they're on their way to work and they say, oh, thank you so much, you taught me this. Sometimes you forget the child. You don't even remember the child, but the child remembers you. Oh, Mrs. This and this and that, you taught me this. And then you're encouraged. So always look at it like a job you had a passion for, and just be patient and know that whatever it is that you're doing, it's definitely going to see the reward. And after having patience, make sure that you're excellent at what you're doing. So study your notes excellently. Nowadays, they're very intelligent children. They study ahead. So make sure you study excellently so that you're able to give to the child perfectly what they require and what they need. And that would also give you joy, because you know you're producing the best students possible. So those are the two advices that I can give.
Very paramount advice. I agree with patience, because we've had reports of a teacher, especially a maths teacher, who committed suicide because of the challenges he faced in class with his maths students. And they were always standing up, talking back to him, and saying dirty words that he've picked outside. And one day, he got fed up because the head teacher didn't know what to do and committed suicide. So such advice is very, very important. Now again, for teachers, if you have any questions, you can send emails to educationtalk@lovotv.co.uk. Helen, I really want to thank you for coming onto the program today.
Thank you.
Your words of advice have been so encouraging regarding the Fowler Awards.
Thank you. Thank you.
Viewers, this is Education Talk. Now, one of the things we do on this program is actually to give you solutions to the various challenges faced by teachers, head teachers, parents and students alike. Remember to send emails to us, educationtalk@lovotv.co.uk. At 1:30 p.m, we'll be coming up with a special edition of today's review to look at an analysis of the New Year message from Pastor Chris Oyakilome. Enjoy the rest of our programs.